Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about why women cheat. Now, some of you might be thinking, men are the one that are assholes, right? Men are the one that will usually cheat. But the truth is, women cheat too. Girls will also cheat. Now, there are many reasons why girls would cheat, why women would cheat. So today we're just going to briefly list out some of the common reasons why a girl or a woman would cheat on their husband or their boyfriend. Right? There's always a reason as to why things happen. When you start to understand it, then you will realize that it's actually common sense, that you should have seen it coming, or you should be able to see why things happen the way they did. But a lot of times when you are in the thick of the relationship, when you are the girl or when you are the guy, you might be blinded by what is in front of you and your emotions and all the effort that you've invested in the relationship to not realize that your relationship is actually falling apart. That gives rise to the temptation for either one of you to start cheating. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to briefly list out all the common reasons of why women might cheat. And if you have a friend who have been cheated on before, or you have been through a relationship where your woman or your girlfriend or your wife have cheated on you before, do share your story and your experience in the comments below, and we would like to learn from them, and we want to let people know that you are not alone, that things like this happen, and there is a way for us to understand what actually happened in that episode and move on from that in a positive way. And the purpose of me sharing all these real life stories and reasons why women cheat is not to condemn anyone, but is really to help us understand what is really happening and what are the things that might cause a woman to cheat, right? If you are a man, perhaps this would help you better understand what happened the last time someone cheated on you or someone cheated on your friend, and this might help them overcome a very dark episode of their life by giving it some perspective and to know what to avoid in the future so that you will have a happy relationship with your future wife or your future girlfriend, right? Thank you so much for listening. But before we continue, do you have a friend who is still single? Get them to scan this QR code with Wowwwz so they can get introduced to the love of their lives today. Just type WOWWZ and you can find us on the App Store or Play Store. You can change their lives today. So please, share this with them. It's free. Links and details can also be found in the description below. Thank you. So here goes. Here are some of the few reasons why women would cheat. First off, women cheat because they are stuck in an unhappy marriage, right? I realized over the years that a lot of people are actually stuck in unhappy marriages. If you're over 30, you start realizing that your friends around you, a lot of them will be starting to get a divorce. A lot of them who got married in their late 20s, cracks will start to show in their relationships, and a lot of them are actually not happy together at all, right? And there are a lot of times also where the couple will still be together, but they're already unhappy together and they might be living separately in different rooms, in different houses. But as a person who's not that close to them, you might not even know that their relationship or their marriage has already started to break down. Now, just imagine this. From the stories and the real life couples that I know that have been through this, a woman would cheat if they are stuck in an unhappy marriage. Now, this happens simply because she married the wrong guy in the first place. When we are in our late 20s, I'm sure you might be familiar with this if you have a certain age, or if you know friends or cousins who are 20 plus or above 30, you realize that as you near your 30s, you are under tremendous pressure to get married. When you are in your late 20s, a lot of couples are actually not happy together with each other, but they have been dating for a few years and it is the time to get married. And because of peer pressure, every Chinese New Year you go back, your relatives, your parents will be asking, so when are you getting married? You know, it's time. Every single month you see your friends getting married. So a lot of couples, even if they are not happy in their relationship in their late 20s, will still get married because they are scared that if they break up right now, it's going to be very hard for them to find another person. Even if they absolutely hate the person and they know why the relationship isn't really working, they are afraid to break up and move on because they have been together for so long that they are afraid to go back into a dating pool and start meeting new people all over again. And if they break up, they're also scared and they are fearful that they will be forever alone because all their friends are getting married and it's going to be very hard to meet new people when you are around 30 years old and have started working. And that is why a lot of people, especially women who want to have kids early, settle for someone who is not really right for them. Now, how do you know if someone is right for them or not? I did an entire series about the 8 types of relationships that won't work and things that you should look out for in a partner and things like that. You can go check them out to find out why, what kind of relationships won't work and how to find out if your partner is truly right for you. So for this kind of couples, I know someone who got married for precisely the same reason that she shouldn't, peer pressure, because she's of a certain age and she got married because everyone around her was getting married and her parents was also asking to get married, even though she already knew that her husband or her boyfriend then is not a very good guy and is not really the kind of guy that she wants to spend her life with. But because she has been together with that guy for so long, she just felt that, okay, fine, I'm just going to settle for this guy, and they got married. But after a while, after a few years, what happened was they realized that they just really cannot stand each other anymore. That guy is clearly the wrong person for her. So after a while, they started to grow apart and they started to sleep in separate rooms. And after a while, she just went back to her parents' place. And something is clearly wrong in that kind of relationship. And they give the excuse of the house is too small, it's easier to take care of their kids that way and stuff like that. But the truth is that they just don't love each other anymore, and they have actually realized that they're actually the wrong partners for each other. Every time they see each other, they will argue, they will throw things, they will just not want to. When you're wrong for each other, you just don't want to talk to that person at all. So she's clearly stuck in an unhappy marriage. That's why when her friend introduced her to a mutual friend that is the guy that she has been looking to marry all her life, who is single, right? But they clearly know that she's married. But because you are so unhappy in your current marriage, she succumbed to the temptation and eventually cheated on her husband by dating this guy. So if you really start to think about it, it's actually common sense. Imagine if you are the woman. You have dedicated your life by marrying this guy, but you realize it's the wrong guy. And every single day, you just absolutely hate his guts and just can't stand to see him anymore. Naturally, when the opportunity arises in that friend that you just met that is willing to entertain dating you even though you are married, things happen, and that's why she succumbed to the temptation and started cheating on her husband. So some women do cheat because they are stuck in an unhappy marriage. It's not like they want to. It's because they were married to the wrong person in the first place. That is why it's so important to make sure you are really right for each other before getting married. That is why I have dedicated the past 10 years of my life trying to build Wowwwz, an app that can help you find the right life partner. Not just any partner, but the right life partner. Someone who shares compatible values, compatible life goals and interests as you. Someone who you can actually relate to someone you can actually grow old together and live happily ever after. It is not easy. That's why we build so many tools and we build this graph that has so much data on it, just to introduce people who could be right to each other so that they can have a chance of meeting and grow together as a happy, lasting couple, right? So women do cheat because they are in a happy marriage. That is one reason that is more common than you think. Second reason, right? Women also cheat because they settled for the wrong person. Now this kind of related to the first one, right? A lot of girls who, especially those who want to get married early, will just settle for the person they are currently dating, even though they have a hunch that this relationship is actually not what they really wanted. And a lot of girls, because especially in Asian societies, girls are not the ones that will usually take the initiative to go after a guy they like. So a lot of girls have no choice but to just settle for whoever comes their way. And that is not actually a good thing, because if that is the case, you are only limited to whoever dares to go after you. What if the guy that is truly right for you is somewhere out there that you just haven't met yet, right? Then you will have missed each other forever, and you have no choice but to only settle for the wrong person. And that is one of the worst decisions you can make in your life, because if you marry the wrong person, if you marry the right person, life can be like heaven on earth. It's gonna be amazing because both of you are right for each other. You can go through everything together, handle any obstacles that come your way, and you can build a beautiful life together as a couple. But if you marry the wrong person, that doesn't mean you won't get together. That doesn't mean that you won't get married. Many people do. But the problem is, if you marry the wrong person, life will become a living hell. And I know that that's true because I've been in a living hell for the past 20 plus years of my life in my parents' marriage, right? When that happens, when you settle for the wrong person, even if you know that wouldn't work, that is also one of the 8 types of relationships that won't work, because you are basically in love with your partner's potential to change. That maybe one day he'll become a better person. Maybe if you have kids, he'll be a better person. I'm going to bring the truth to you that chances are that wouldn't happen. It would even get worse, because our character is more or less set when we reach the age of 19. Unless we go through a life and death moment and almost come back from life, that person, that man, is gonna be more or less the same person. So you gotta ask yourself, as he is or she is right now, if nothing changes at all in 10 years, will you be okay with that man? If the answer is no, it's time to move on. There are other people who are right for you out there, and you can find them on an app like Wowwwz, right? Don't settle for the wrong person, because when that happens and someone in your workplace or your yoga group appears and is the guy that you have dreamt of and wanted to be with for the longest time, the temptation to start to cheat will happen. And that is how divorces happen. That is how extramarital affairs happen. So women cheat because they settled for the wrong person in the first place. That is a very real thing, right? Of course, the third thing is that women cheat because of lust too. Now, we are all humans. No matter if you are a guy or you are a girl, you are a man, you are a woman, we all have lust, right? A lot of times you see that, guys are the lustful ones because, they are the ones that would go after girls, they are the ones that are the more promiscuous ones and stuff like that. But the truth is, girls have that too. Girls have a sex drive too. And just look at the people who like Korean stars and whatnot. You will feel aroused when you see an attractive guy or a muscular guy, whichever type you like, right? So let's just be friends with each other. So lust is a fundamental, how to say, human desire. So you can't really blame someone for having that. But the difference here is that some people, men and women alike, some women have a better control of that lust. Some people have better self-control and have a certain set of values that they would like to adhere to, right? So if you are a guy when you're dating someone, you gotta make sure that the woman you are dating is someone with a better sense of self-control and with similar values as you, that they will stay loyal to you and not cheat, right? There are women out there who are, okay, I don't want to use the word slutty, but how to say, they are more open to having multiple partners at the same time. There are girls like that, there are women like that. Sometimes it's because they just don't believe in love anymore. Sometimes because they see love as just a transaction. There are people like that, and there are many reasons why that is so. Maybe they've been hurt before, maybe their parents went through a very bad divorce, maybe everyone around them is like that, and that's why they just don't believe in love anymore and everything's a transaction. Because of that, it's like whatever lah, just go and do whatever makes you happy, satisfy your lust whenever the opportunity appears. So there are people like that. So women cheat because of lust too. It's not just men. It goes both ways. So if you are a guy, make sure, if you are not the guy that is in an open relationship that's okay sleeping around as well, then make sure you find a woman who has a good degree of self-control of her lust and has the same principles and values as you. Because the truth is, women cheat because of lust too. Besides that, women also cheat because they are not getting enough love and affection. Now, for guys crave admiration. Guys crave respect because they have bigger ego, right? But for women tend to crave love and affection more. Something like, what do you mean by love and affection, right? It could be a simple gesture of caring about them, like, dear, how are you doing? Noticing the small little things in their lives, whether they're in a good mood or bad mood, doing sweet little things for them, like, I don't know, writing post-it notes, leaving meals for them when they're sick, taking care of them when they're sick, handling their chores or whatnot. There are many different ways to express that, but basically, if a woman is not getting enough love and affection from their husband or their boyfriend, they might start to feel neglected. They might start to feel alone. And when that happens, right, and another person or another friend of theirs start to show them more care and affection, I mean, this is not something that will happen right away, right? But over time, you will realize that, why am I with this person? Why am I with this man when there's someone so much better out there, right? So if you're married, then you might have more self-control, but sometimes it's not like that, because if you're married, you must think that if you are that woman who is married to someone who doesn't love her at all, and you realize that it's a one-sided relationship. One-sided relationship is another type of relationship that won't work. You can go check out my other video, and you realize that you are always the one like caring for them, but your husband doesn't seem to care at all, right? You start to feel like, why am I doing this in the first place? I feel worthless. Like, why am I like a slave to my husband? And that might be enough a trigger for her to give in to the temptation to cheat with someone who genuinely cares for her. It could be the neighbor. It could be someone who stays in the same condo. These are things that might happen. If you are still dating, right, then you might realize that, hey, maybe I should be dating the other guy instead of this guy, right? So women will cheat because they are not getting enough love and affection. But the right way to do it is, if you are still dating and not married yet, perhaps you should just talk it out with your other half and see whether you can work things out. If not, then get a breakup and move on. But don't cheat on that person while you are dating someone. Alright? If you are married, then if you have kids and you have a family, then it can be very complicated. So of course, the lesson is that it's always ideal to really get to know a person well enough before you settle for someone, right? Because if that doesn't happen, the temptation to cheat will become very strong when the opportunity comes. And so women do cheat because they are not getting enough love and affection. And if you are a guy, make sure that you find someone with a common or relatively equal level of, how do I say, love expressiveness. Because different people have different love languages and different ways they express love. So you also need to find someone who is compatible with you in that aspect. If not, you'll find that your relationship is very one-sided. And in that circumstances, girls can cheat too. Right? So women do cheat because they are not getting enough love and affection. Another reason why women cheat is because they don't feel appreciated enough. Have you ever seen an auntie or uncle, a couple where the auntie is always doing stuff for her husband? Like the auntie will cook for him, take care of everything for him in the house, ask him whether have you eaten, have you done this, have you done that, buy new clothes for him, buy new underwear for him and stuff like that, wash the clothes, things like that. But the guy in his macho-ness just seems like, whatever lah, yeah, that's your job, what, you're supposed to do that, you're supposed to take care of the house and whatnot. After a while, right, it might not occur to the woman that this is not really fair for her. But after a while, if this goes on for 5 to 10 years, right, she might feel that she's not being appreciated enough. And when that happens, she will also be tempted to cheat if the opportunity presents itself. And this usually happens after a while. This is not something that happens instantly. So when it comes and when it happens, it might come as a surprise to the guy that she's married to. So if you're a guy who doesn't know how to, or just doesn't show, or just doesn't appreciate your other half enough, perhaps it's time to reflect on that and see whether you can start to show some appreciation for your other half and what your wife has done or has been doing for you, because that is key to a healthy relationship. You need to appreciate each other for who you are and who you have, everything that you have done for each other. Because if not, you might start to grow apart, and someone or the other party might start to feel that they are not appreciated enough, they are not getting appreciated enough, and they might start to cheat. And that is how your marriage might start to break down. So yes, women will cheat because they don't feel appreciated enough. Now, I'm not saying that all women will do that, but that is a very strong and common reason that cause some women to start cheating on their husbands. And this can happen when they are in their 50s or 60s even. So understand that and start appreciating each other more. Another reason why women cheat is because their husband has lost interest in them. Now, when I say lose interest, now most of the time I'm talking about sexual interest, right? Now there could be many reasons why this happens, right? Maybe after a certain age, the guy can't really do it anymore. Maybe there are some problems with his health, right? It could also be because you are wrong for each other. That's why you slowly grew apart. And if there are problems like this in your marriage, you won't feel like having sex. You get what I mean? Because that's a very intimate thing that you do. And he might also start cheating and find that fulfillment elsewhere. But it could also be that he feels inferior or he's scared to talk about his problems. So, but this is Sex is a very important part in a healthy marriage, in a healthy romantic relationship. So once that stops, right, you are only together with each other because of responsibility. Now, there are a lot of people like this. There are a lot of older couples in this world who are like this. And they get by, but this can be solved. With today's technology, you can seek help and you can pleasure each other in many different ways, right? But if a woman is with a husband who has totally lost interest in her, this might cause her to feel very unwanted. Like, is there something wrong with her? This might cause a low self-esteem or an urge to want to find some validation elsewhere. And this is also a biological thing where studies have shown that women's sexual prowess usually peaks later than guys, around their 40 years old and whatnot. So that could be a problem. So if the opportunity presents itself and the woman doesn't have enough self-control or just feels that she's unwanted or not wanted by her husband, she might succumb to the temptation to cheat behind his back. And that's why some women do cheat because their husband has lost interest in them. So now if you are a woman who's in such a situation, or if you are a man who has lost interest in your wife, maybe you might want to talk it out. If it's about fitness, maybe both of you can do something together, right? If it's about a problem in your bedroom, maybe you can start talking, seek help, Google, read books, and start to work it out. Because there are couples who are married, have been married for 50 years and are now 80 plus, 90 plus years old, and they still find ways to fulfill each other. They still find ways to be interested in each other, in many different ways. So don't let this be an opportunity for someone to cheat, right? So women do cheat because their husband has lost interest in them. Make sure your sex life is healthy as well as you grow together in your marriage and in your relationship, because that is a very important part of any romantic relationship, right? And next up, women also cheat because their friends are cheating too. Now, we grew up in many different social circles, right? In some circles, everyone is very loyal, they have very strong principles and whatnot. But in other circles, it is common for people to cheat. Maybe in her circles of friends, all her friends are cheating. It could be because the guys are cheating too. That's why that's their way of getting revenge, or just it's more like a transaction that you do your life, I do my life. You're married because of different reasons, because of financial reasons or stuff like that. But if everyone around you is also cheating, right? Then you might be thinking, why not? Like, I'm not happy in my marriage as well. Might as well I cheat. It's perfectly okay, right? That is why that's why one reason women or girls cheat is because all their friends are doing the same thing. So to them, it is normal. So if you are a guy who doesn't believe in that, right? Find someone who also doesn't believe in that and have friends who are mostly also like you and like her, right? Unless you're someone who also believes that, cheating is fine, you can just sleep around and whatnot, then you'll work out fine. There's no problem with that. There are such people around. I've seen many of them, right? But if you don't believe in that, make sure you find someone with compatible values as you. Otherwise, you will get hurt, right? Another reason why women cheat is because they want someone better. This goes back to my other point about how some people settle for someone they are not truly in love with, right? And there's also this thing that's been going around, especially for women and for girls, that if you cannot find someone that you love equally as much as they love you, find a guy that loves you more than you love them. Now I understand why this makes sense, because if that happens, at least you are the one that's being loved more. Now, if the difference is not that big, that's fine, right? And for a lot of these kind of relationships, slowly, because that guy has committed his life to you, he has done so much for you, you will start to love him back as much as he loves you, and that works out fine in the end. But if the gap is too big, or you're very clear that you will never really like someone like that, and you're just like getting left, whatever lah, okay, he's all I got, so okay, let's do that, right? Then you are putting yourself in danger of cheating in the future. Because if you ask any married couple that has been married for a long time, who have a substantial social circle, whether they have met someone who is right for them, or is better than, or loves you more than whoever you are dating right now, or whoever you are married, the answer is most of the time yes. Although they never pursue it because they're already married, right? The truth is that the more people you meet in life, and as you stay alive for a longer time, right, you will meet more people, and at some point, someone better will come along. But you cannot keep waiting, isn't it? Because if that happens, then you will forever stay unmarried. So that's why commitment is quite important as well in a marriage. What makes your marriage special, or your relationship special, is that commitment that both of you have committed to be with each other and stay loyal to each other for this time period or forever, right? And the experiences you have gone through together makes your marriage so much more valuable, and makes him or her the one, the love of your life, right? But if that difference is too big, and you have always felt that you deserve someone better, that like, yeah, my husband is useless one, like, why did I marry you? Why did I marry you in the first place? You know, I know a lot of older couples, and every single day you start seeing them complaining. Just ask yourself whether you have an auntie like this, like, 嗰個衰佬冇用㗎啦, you do that, you know, like 成日都咁樣樣. It's like every day he's like that, you know, he's like, there's so many better guys out there, I should have chosen them, I should have married you, you know. She is clearly resentful to having married this guy or her husband. So don't put yourself in that position. I mean, sometimes people say that out of fun, is jokingly saying that, you know, like, now that's very clear when that happens. But if it's not like that, if you really mean it, that you really want someone better, and you think you deserve someone better, when a temptation arises, there's a very strong possibility that you give in to that temptation and start cheating. And I know someone who has just been married for 2 years, but because she has basically just settled for someone that she's not really in love with, she ended up cheating with someone else, and she and her husband doesn't have kids yet. But because of that incident, she had a kid with the guy she cheated on, and because of that they got a divorce, and then now she's married with the other guy, and that hurt the first husband a lot. And because of that, I don't know whether he has recovered from it, but these are the kind of things that will cause some men to just totally lose hope in love at all. And maybe in the future he will be the one who will start cheating because he has been hurt so badly by his first wife. So it is very important for us to make sure, before you marry someone, to ask yourself this question, whether he is enough for you, right? Can I accept him or her as she is or he is right now if nothing changes in 10 years? Don't settle for someone that you don't really like or think that you don't really want. It is possible, I know it's hard, but it is possible to find someone whom you really want, who also wants you back as much. They exist, because I told you there are 60,000 single people in your extended network. With the graph we have built, we have seen that. We have introduced people to each other, they have gotten married. So you're the love of your life, who is really right for you, who you truly admire, truly love, and vice versa, could just be one introduction away. That's why That's why I've dedicated the past 10 years of my life trying to build technology like this that could help introduce people who are right for each other to each other, so they don't have to settle for someone whom they are not really in love with, and then 5 to 10 years later they start cheating and their marriage starts breaking down. So yeah, some women will cheat because they want someone better, because they settled for someone who they didn't really want in the first place, right? So if you're a guy, make sure that you really want the woman and that she actually thinks the same way as you. You need to have very deep conversations to know this, right? You need to really observe her micro expressions, what she really does, to really understand whether you are enough for her as well, right? So women do cheat because they want something better. Make sure you find someone and that you really love right now, and not just settle for someone you don't love because you got no other option. That is not the right thing to do. You will get tempted to cheat and you might start cheating in the end, right? Now, another reason why women cheat is because they feel that love is nothing but a transaction. Now, this is a very bleak view of the world. This world view is usually adopted by people who grew up in an environment where where love is a transaction. Maybe their parents' marriage is like that. Now, I'm not saying that everyone who grew up in that environment is like that. I know a lot of people who grew up like that, but they believe that there is true love, that the problem with their parents' marriage is not this, and that they can find someone where love is not just a transaction. But the sad truth is that in this world, a lot of times love is just a transaction. Maybe the guy just wants to start a family, so he just will find whoever wants to start a family with him, but he doesn't really love that person. Some girls just want to be with the guy for the money, right? Because they grew up poor, or they felt that there's no true love anyway, so might as well just marry a rich guy, right? If I get divorced, I get half his money, that's great, I don't care, right? And that's also why sugar daddies and sugar babies exist. But at least that relationship is clear cut that it is a transaction. But there are also a lot of cases where it's not that kind of relationship, but the nature of it is that it is a transaction. Now, if that is the case, if there is someone richer, for a girl or a woman that thinks that love is just a transaction, right? If someone richer appears, then naturally you will go to the higher bidder, isn't it? It's just business. It's just a transaction. So if a woman feels that love is nothing but a transaction, the likelihood of her cheating is pretty high, because there will always be someone who is better, who is richer, and when the opportunity arises, or when consideration, that means the goods are not there anymore, whatever you marry that guy or be with that guy for is not there. Maybe he lost his business, or he lost a lot of money in the stock market, I don't know, right? When that transaction is not there anymore, then the transaction stops and your relationship breaks down. Now, if you are a guy and you are okay being this kind of relationships, then you also need to be prepared of what might happen, because it is a transaction. So some women who think that love is just a transaction will cheat because maybe they found a higher bidder, or the conditions for that transaction to happen is no longer there. So that is also something that is pretty sad, but actually happens in real life, and is one of the many reasons why women cheat too. Alright? Now, another reason why women cheat is because they have been hurt and cheated on before. Now, this happens to guys too, but for a woman, that could happen as well. If all your past relationships, your boyfriend or your husband has cheated on you, you might feel that all guys are assholes, which is not true. There are plenty of good guys out there. It's just that you haven't met them yet, or you belong in a different social circle where such guys are not as common, right? But you can find them. on an app like Wowwwz, because we get friends to write testimonials for each other. We ask them very deep questions about their values and principles and so on, to make sure that only people with compatible values are introduced to each other. So they won't settle for the wrong person. They won't settle because they are so emotionally invested in each other, although they are the wrong people, the wrong partners for each other. So women, I guess you can understand why a woman or why a girl will cheat if they have been hurt or cheated on before. I mean, it's not healthy, it's not the right way to do it. But if you put yourself in their shoes, and you were so hurt by your ex-boyfriend or your ex-husband cheating on you, you might start to feel that, okay, fine, if that is the way the world is gonna be, I should have my fun too, I should just cheat with whoever gives me the best deal or whoever I feel like cheating with, right? Since that is the way the world works. I mean, if you enjoy that, I don't judge, just make sure you don't hurt someone who doesn't think the same way as you, right? So there are girls who cheat because they themselves have been hurt and cheated on before, and this kind of starts a chain of cheating, a chain reaction of people who thinks, okay, fine, everyone's cheating, I should cheat too, right? This is sad, but it's actually happening, and I know plenty of couples and plenty of people who are like that. That's why having the right understanding of why things happen is really important, and also understand that there is someone that is not like that out there, and you can find them today with the help of technology like Wowwwz, right? Yeah. So women do cheat because they were hurt and cheated on before. If you put yourself in their shoes, you would understand why. Now, another reason why women cheat is because they have lost hope in love. Now, what do I mean by they have lost hope in love? Well, there are many reasons why someone will lose hope in love. It could be because of their past experiences, their past relationships, or it could be because of the friends around them who have been through some really tragic romances, very tragic relationships, or it could be because of their parents or relatives, and because of that, and after they have tried dating so many people, they realize that everyone is the same. All the guys she has dated is an asshole, and that is when a woman or a girl will start losing hope in love. And when that happens, loyalty is not something you would believe in anymore. That's why people who have lost hope in love will just do whatever they want, and whatever satisfies whatever they want to do or their desires at that moment. So some women cheat simply because they have lost hope in love. Is that sex is just something I want. If I want to do it, I do. It's just like eating rice. So such people exist, and that's also one reason why women cheat. So if you're not like that, try to avoid dating someone like that, unless you also believe in the same thing. Then that's fine. Then both of you understand what you are getting into, and you can do whatever you want in your relationship. But if not, understand that someone like that might start to cheat because they have lost hope in love. Another reason why women cheat is because they grew apart from their husbands. They grew apart from their boyfriends, right? Now, this could happen in many ways and many reasons. If you are wrong for each other in the first place, chances are you're going to grow apart because your values are different. After you start embarking on life together, you realize that you're not really right for each other. But a lot of times it's also because after you get married or after you get together, you neglected each other and you took each other for granted. You did not continue building the relationship so you can grow together. Now, the sad news is that marriage is not the end. In fact, marriage is only the very beginning of your journey together, of your adventure together. Let's say you get married at 30 years old. There's still a good 40 to 50 years ahead of you for you to live your lives together as a couple, as soulmates, as a life partner, someone to do life with, to grow old with, and go through everything in life together with, right? a lot of couples, after they got married, they got caught up in routine, in the mundane stuff like paying bills, going to work, taking care of their kids and whatnot. After a while, they forgot to communicate. They forgot to do little sweet things with each other. They forgot to date each other, which is pretty important, right? So after a while, now this is something that can happen slowly. You might be right for each other at the point you got married. But in 5 to 10 years, if you don't grow together, if you don't ask your other half what's happening in their lives, like maybe something happened in work that totally changed his worldview about friends and finances. You didn't know that because you were just too busy like making sure your kids have the right tuition, making sure that the electricity bills are paid, and so on and so forth. So if you don't put in the effort to communicate and grow together, in 5 to 10 years, you might start realizing that the person sleeping next to you is a total stranger. Their personality and character has totally changed. Their worldview have totally changed. And you have no idea, simply because you have dropped the ball. You forgot to communicate with each other and grow together, right? If your careers took a very different path and you are not in sync in your worldview of the world, you will also start to feel a gap widening in terms of mindset of how you think about finances, how you think about jobs, and how you think about personal improvement. So a lot of couples I know started to grow apart because they start taking each other for granted, and they don't put in the effort to communicate and grow together, right? Sometimes it's also because of different life goals. Maybe someone is more ambitious than the other. If that happens, the chances of you growing apart can be higher than usual. And so in a relationship or marriage where the woman has grown apart from her husband, it's a very fragile relationship because you don't really know each other well anymore, and you don't feel that emotional connection that soulmate should have anymore. And when the temptation arises, it's very easy for you to succumb to that. Or you might just realize flat out that after 10 years, you are just not the right partner to do life with each other anymore. If you are single, chances are you get a divorce. If you don't have kids, chances are you get a divorce and find someone else. But if we have kids, it can be more complicated. But today, you see more and more couples just get a divorce and just raise the kids together, but go on to find someone they are truly compatible with. But if you still neglect to communicate and grow together with your other half, the same thing will happen again. I know some couples who started off as the right person for each other, but over the years, they started to grow apart. One reason is also because the wife started to stay at home to take care of the kids, and because of that, the guy did very well in his career. Well, it is not a bad thing, but how do I put it? Because the woman has been so caught up with house chores and is totally blocked off from the business world, from the corporate world and everything. After a while, the guy feels that he can't really relate to the wife anymore, and vice versa. She will start to feel that, is my husband cheating outside? She got to worry about self-esteem and stuff like that. And because of that, their relationship is very strained, and they don't feel an emotional connection to each other anymore. And because of that, when she met someone in her circle of friends that really started to understand her challenges and her feelings and emotions, she felt that being in that marriage is not something that she wants to do, that she wants to be with the other person that she met that can give her that can truly understand her, to really know her. You get what I mean? So women can cheat when they have grown apart from their husbands, right? or boyfriends. But boyfriends, that one, it happens as well, but the ramifications are not as big. I mean, if that happened to you when you were still boyfriend girlfriend, then realize that you need to grow together as a couple. You need to put in the effort to communicate and grow together. Some people, it's just not right, like you just can't grow together because you want different things in life. So that's a very important question that we ask in the app as well. So make sure you continue building relationship together so that the temptation to cheat when opportunity arises doesn't happen. So yeah, women do cheat and are at a higher risk of cheating when they have grown apart from the other half. So to summarize everything, right, women cheat because of various reasons. Some applies to men as well, right? First of all, women cheat because they are stuck in a happy marriage. If you are stuck in a unhappy marriage, chances are you might start to cheat when the opportunity arises, right? Women also cheat because they have settled for the wrong person. Because of that, you'll grow apart, a lot of shit will happen, you just simply hate that person to the guts, right? Women cheat because of lust too. It's human nature that we all lust for the other sex, right? It's just whether you can control it or not, and whether you have the principles and values that hold you against doing that, right? And women also cheat because they are not getting enough love and affection, because this is something that you feel validated with, right? So women do cheat because they're not getting enough love and affection from the other half. And women also cheat because they don't feel appreciated enough. If it's a one-sided relationship where the woman does everything for the man, but the man doesn't does anything back or doesn't even appreciate their efforts, it's gonna be very taxing on the woman, and because of that, women might start cheating. And women also cheat because their husbands has lost interest in them, and this is a very sad thing, but it happens. That's why sex is a very important part, an integral part in a romantic relationship that we all need to pay attention to make sure that we are all fulfilled and able to work things out in the bedroom. Women also cheat because their friends are cheating too. If everyone around you is cheating, you might feel that it's perfectly okay to do the same thing, right? Because that's a norm. And women also cheat because they want someone better. If you're not happy with whoever you are with right now, once someone who is better, who you really want appears, which will happen, you will start cheating, right? The temptation to do so is very strong. Women also cheat because they feel that love is simply a transaction. That's why when a better deal comes along, go with the better deal. That is what happens. Women will also cheat because they were hurt and cheated on before, and in a way that's a form of revenge, but it could also be because of a bleak worldview that like love doesn't exist, so just go for the highest bidder. And women also cheat because they have lost hope in love, which is more or less the same reason as the one before, which if love doesn't exist and there's no such thing as love or care or a life partner or the love of your life, then just do whatever you want, like when you feel like it, just do it, just cheat with everyone, date multiple people at the same time, So people, if you have lost hope in love, this is one reason why some women like that would cheat as well. And another reason that could be totally avoided is women cheat because they grew apart, right? If you have really grown apart from your partner, you don't feel the emotional connection anymore. A lot of times the marriage or the relationship has really broken down, and sometimes it can be saved, but sometimes if there's a temptation or opportunity that arises, you might commit a mistake that hurt the other person so bad that it just cannot be salvaged anymore. So make sure you grow together as a couple, and make sure you find someone who's compatible with you, who can grow together with you, right? If not, when the marriage starts growing apart, cracks will appear, and you might start cheating on each other. Yeah, so these are some of the common reasons why women cheat. Now, of course, not all women will cheat. There are many women who are happy with their relationship, happy with their husbands, and are living happy lives, right? There are also people who might be in such situations but have the values and self-control to not start cheating, right? But maybe sometimes you have thought about it but just didn't dare or didn't want to do it, right? So it's not a will, but just to hope. I'm sharing all this is the reason I'm sharing all this is so that if you are a man, and have been cheated on before, you will start to understand why it happened that way, why your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriend cheated on you. And it doesn't have to be, how to say, hopeless. You still can find people who are right for you, who wouldn't cheat, who will stay loyal to you. There are plenty of such people out there. Just make sure you find someone who's compatible with you, who's right for you, who share the same values as you, and can grow together with you with the same and similar life goals, right? And you can find someone like that on Wowwwz because a lot of people are actually with the wrong person. That's why we feel such a strong need to build something like this. If you are a woman, if you feel like cheating is alright, then so be it. I mean, I don't judge. All the best to you. There are men like this as well. We will match you with the men like this. But if you feel that people shouldn't cheat, I hope that these reasons of some examples of how some real woman in real life started to cheat would help you understand what would tempt you to cheat in the future. Because for certain things like growing apart and like realizing that you settled for a wrong person, it doesn't happen right away. Like right now, you might not think that you will ever cheat, but when you are stuck in a very unhappy marriage for 5 to 10 years, it can be a very different story, right? You might start to think that shit, this is hopeless, and the temptation to cheat can be very strong, especially if there's someone for you to cheat with who loves you more or is much better suited to you, right? So yeah, so if you're a woman, perhaps all these reasons why women might cheat might help you to better build your relationship so that you will avoid these kind of things happening in the future, right? Make sure you find the right partner, the right man. Ask yourself, as he is or she is right now, if nothing changes, am I okay with this man? If your answer is no, talk it out, let him know, break up, and find someone that you truly love, someone that's truly right for you. That person, that man exists, right? And you can find them with today's technology. So don't settle for something less or someone less than who you really want. That could be a fatal mistake that might destroy your marriage in the future, right? So thank you so much for listening to this episode. And so if you have any questions, comments, or if you can relate to any of these examples, do leave us a comment below. Tell us your story so that more people can learn from it, so that more people who have been through the same things will know that they are not alone, you know, that there's a way to come out of it. If you agree or disagree with any of my points, do leave us a comment as well, and let's have a healthy discussion on how to solve relationship problems and how to move forward, and so that more people can find the right life partner and live happily ever after. And that is our mission. So thank you so much for tuning in. See you in our next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do you agree on what I've just shared? If you have any thoughts or interesting stories to tell me, do let me know by leaving a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. The love of your life is probably your friend's friend right now. And we can introduce you to the 60,000 single guys or 60,000 single girls in your extended network through this graph that we have built. So if you are single or know anyone who is single, do share this with them and get them to scan this QR code right here to meet other amazing single people in KL. Or if you're in Singapore, you can scan this one. You can also scan the QR codes in the descriptions below to meet other working professionals, students, lawyers, accountants, and people who like the same things and think the same way as you. Lastly, remember to like, share, and subscribe so more people can find true love. Alright? If you want to know why I've dedicated the past 10 years of my life trying to build an app that can help everyone find true love, you can watch this video right here. Or read about my 10-year startup journey in the links below. Subscribe, and someone will meet the love of their lives today.